Hello, I'm Luca De Giglio, and this is the Web3 in Travel podcast, where you can learn about crypto, blockchain, and how the new internet will change travel. So, hi everyone. Hi Anke and Pablo from Chain4Travel. Ralph will probably join us a bit later. So this is my fourth in the row episode on your project. I did a couple of episodes as an analysis of your light paper. Then in the last episode, which I think we launched yesterday, you had basically the mic. You can say your point of view on my analysis. And today we are discussing specifics, like especially the parts which I have questions for, I'm not convinced or whatever. So it's going to be a bit more adversarial than last time. Hopefully the result is that we all understand better the project. So I would start asking one question. Give me a second because I lost it now. There you go. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, the pre-sale, you have a pre-sale going on of your token. Your token is Camino or CAM. How do you call it?
Camino.
Camino, that's the token name.
Yeah. It's the native token of our Camino blockchain.
Okay, so in the pre-sale is happening on what chain? On the Camino blockchain or something else?
So the pre-sale you see currently on Chain4Travel website is a waiting list. Actually, you can subscribe, so it's interest. We will close the pre-sale at the 23rd of September, and then actually make the selection of which people can buy how much and how much token they will receive. Okay, and that's going to happen. So the token is going to be issued on the Camino blockchain only? Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay. Is there going to be a way to sell it? So a pool or something? Or is like an exchange? So we intend actually to launch the Camino token also on an exchange beginning next year. So compared to other projects, I mean, as we talked last time, we didn't publish a white paper and now looking for token and investment. We already co-founded. So our aim is actually to raise between seed investment and pre-sale more or less 10 million euros. And with that money, we will drive the development of the next few months and years. But we will list as well our Camino token beginning next year on exchange. Our focus currently is also built together with our partners many use cases so that the token has a lot of utility, because we believe that the utility will then define the success of a token. So, and when you say exchange, you mean you already know which exchange you're trying to be on? We are in talks with different exchange, but not made a final decision yet. So you mean a centralized exchange? There's not going to be on Uniswap or something like this? We are looking at both solutions, honestly. Yeah. So it would be too early to already confirm yes or no. Okay. We were also thinking at the beginning to do an ICO ourselves, but went away from that. So we are definitely working with exchange, be it centralized or decentralized. That decision is not yet made. So you mean you're not going to do an ICO? Is your sale not an ICO? Like as an initial coin offering? I think your light paper calls it like that. Is that correct? That was the initial light paper. There should be a new version out there right now, which that has been corrected. Actually, the pre-sale is more really for friends and families and companies who want to invest right now and need some stake to become a validator, for instance. Okay, so basically the buyers are selected and the token will not have liquidity at the beginning. So basically you won't be able to sell it until you go on an exchange. So it's more like a pre-sale than an ICO.
It's a pre-sale and the tokens are locked and you can see the conditions on our website. They are locked between 3 and 5 years.
Of every investor has locked. Okay, yeah. Then it's not an ICO.
Then there will be awards and the awards are not locked, but the tokens that the friends and family partners buy now in the pre-sale, they are locked between 3 and 5 years.
It's going to be, what is not locked? The vaults, you said?
The rewards that are paid on.
The rewards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the rewards for being part of the validators in the chain. So yeah, now I remember a question I wondered in the analysis. That's a pre-sale? Like most tokens and chain have. So this pre-sale has a price. Is this price public, or it's only revealed to investors?
No, the price is public. It's also on our website.
Yeah.
So it's 10 cents.
10 cents. Okay.
Exactly. What differs is the locking years, so the locking period, how much you want to lock. It's 3, 4, and 5 years. And depending how much you lock, you get more rewards, so interest rates.
Oh, like the rewards, like kind of a staking, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the ICO happens later. So the open sale to anybody, that will happen later, but you don't have details at the moment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be basically interesting to see what the price is going to be for the ICO. It could be the same, it could be higher. Usually it's higher. Exactly. But then, of course, we're not going to analyze the ICO because it's still too early. As you mentioned, the ICO is not going to happen pretty soon, right?
So we plan roughly Q1 next year.
Okay, not too late. Okay, so
not
we're
too
gonna,
late, yes. But till then, actually, we should already have on board more than 50 partners. The first DApps will be already running, so we can better explain that as well to partners and also consumers, what we intend to build. And I think there will be also first cases of utility already, where people can buy into a network and use the Camino token for different stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about it when this happens. Now, my main question basically is, why do we need a new blockchain, since there are many? What are the advantages of a dedicated layer 1 compared to existing layer 1s or layer 2s? We discussed this last time a little bit, but last time I didn't reply. So I'm asking you like again, and then I'm gonna try to understand if that convinces me or not. So at the moment, my position is no, we don't need a new layer 1.
Okay.
Put, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm here to change my mind, and especially before you answer, nobody knows what happens in the future here. So whatever works so far may not be true tomorrow. So that's my initial position. In general, not for travel, but in general, it's kind of new layer 1s are, unless they really improve the whole thing, are kind of something from last year. So in a way, so why a new layer 1?
Okay, would you like to answer from a business perspective? I will then add from a technical perspective.
Yes, of course, yeah. So let me take a step back. I mean, what we have in when you want to start to work on blockchain, you have on one side you have the public blockchains, and we discussed it a bit last time already. And then on the other side you have the private permission blockchains. That's more of a consortium blockchain, a Corda, Hyperledger, etc. And actually, when you look at the features of those blockchains, they don't fulfill the requirements of a specific industry. So I personally think, and there are many more that think, that time has come to start to develop industry blockchains. So blockchains dedicated to industries. Now we have blockchains actually dedicated to the finance industry, right? So the public blockchains are focused on DeFi, etc. So we have one industry already. And with Camino, we are focusing on the needs and requirements of the travel industry. And we have very specific requirements when it comes to scalability, when it comes to this transaction fees, when it comes to voting. And I let Pablo explain how we are going to do this. But I think that's very specific to our industry. And if we go with a public blockchain, then we would need to go with what is developed on a public blockchain, which can be a good thing on one side because there's less development for us. But on the other side, there are disadvantages in terms of, for example, voting based on stake that will not accommodate the needs of the travel industry.
So before Pablo jumps in, you said basically speed and cost and voting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the governance of the governance is ultra important, I think, for our industry, for managing the shared infrastructure. So if we mix that up with other players that have other interests, so we will have major issues in governance.
So you mean governance of the blockchain itself?
Yes, exactly.
In this case. Okay, clear. Okay. So, well, okay, Pablo, please go ahead.
So from a technical perspective, you mentioned in the last podcast that we forked from Avalanche. So before we made our decision to use Avalanche and to adapt it to our needs or the travel industry needs, we had a look of different other blockchains as well. So as you said, our first thinking, hey, let's use a blockchain that is out there because it also reduces complexity, costs, and development effort on our end. But we saw, for instance, gas fees were too high on Ethereum at that point in time. Energy consumption was too high. There were a lot of blockchains where we could not actually steer the validators. Everybody could become a validator, and that's also something which we want to create an ecosystem of validators which some ties to the travel industry. So not everybody can become a validator, for instance, on Camino. You need to have some kind of ties to travel industry, and you are KYB process. So we actually check if you have some ties and what kind of company you are. So to ensure that the network, because the network we're trying to build up is for the travel industry, run and operated for the travel industry in future. Because we intend Chain4Travel will actually transition into a foundation model. So we will set up a foundation, and also the community will then drive the further development. So it's not like Chain4Travel is developing the future features based on their old roadmap, but that roadmap will be set by the community. But we had a list of different requirements, so scalability, security, throughput, so high performance actions, and all this led us actually to select Avalanche. It did not tick all the boxes. For instance, in Avalanche, we liked very much the flexibility you have with the different chains and also the subnet structure, so you can create a lot of various use cases depending on your needs. But for instance, every subnet needs to also validate the mainnet. So validators in the subnet would need to validate the mainnet. And that was a no-go for us because we could not think of travel companies wanting to validate actually other transactions from the gaming industry or financial industry. So that was one aspect. The other aspect was as well the entry hurdles. So to become validator in Avalanche, you need quite a high stake at that point in time. So that was too high. So we wanted to have the possibility to adapt that and set the entry barriers ourselves. So only this Monday, we actually made the decision to, because we listened to as well to some startups and partners who don't have big funds to invest right now. So we actually decreased from 200,000 Caminos to 100,000 Caminos as an entry hurdle to become a validator. So that's one thing we changed, the validator model as per se. The staking mechanism we changed as well, because in the travel industry, we have big players, a lot of big players and a lot of small players, right? And if you would use the proof of stake, a lot of blockchains offer today, then big players would have the chance to stake more. And they would get more transactions and they would get more voting power. So what we are changing, transition to a proof of stake and authority. So we KYB process them, and that's already something we can have a higher performance because every validator is known in the network. And then as well, we want to introduce only one stake. Everybody has the same stake. That means he gets the same amount of transactions, same amount of transaction rewards, and same amount of voting power. So there's one vote. Doesn't matter if you are Lufthansa or a small airline, doesn't matter if you are a small hotel or Booking.com. So everybody should have one vote. And actually that allows us to bring together a community on our future community /DAO, where small participants can also have the same stakes.
Did you check the Cosmos ecosystem, which seems to be like one of the options to create your own blockchain inside an existing infrastructure? And if yes, what made you not choose them?
We checked Cosmos as well. We also checked Phantom and a few others. The main reason against Cosmos was actually that we liked very much the multi-chain approach that Avalanche offers. Avalanche at that point in time offered also higher scalability and throughput when it comes to transactions. And we liked also the subnet structure because, I mean, we're a team of industry veterans and Web3 enthusiasts and experts. So we know that there are many requirements in the global travel industry, and we have a global focus that we need to have a system in place where we can build in a lot of flexibility, because that will come.
So to go back to the main reason, like you mentioned, because of scalability, which is basically speed and price. So fast blockchain, which is also cheap to run.
Where we also can steer the gas fee. So that's
so like a control on the gas fee. So not a direct market based gas fee, but more like a centralized gas fee?
It's not centralized, it's decentralized, because the validator community can vote on the base fee for the transaction fee. So that's
decentralized, but decided by
the community,
people, by the consensus base. So consensus based versus market based. That's already a very interesting point to see how this is going to play out. Then only travel industry validators, you said, which means like if you cannot be just an anonymous or a general validator, which is there like as a mercenary just to make money. You must be part of the travel industry, and actually you don't make money to being a validator. You want the infrastructure to exist because you need it, right?
Yeah.
And also the ability to define how much it costs to be a validator. Right now, you put down the price, it was too expensive, etc. And then the staking. Okay, I see these points. The voting for the L1, right? The fact that the voting, which defines, for instance, the price of the fees, or the price of being a validator, etc., it's done by voting, and you didn't find this in other blockchains, right?
We are even developing it on our own blockchain. So it should be an automatic voting happening, sending out to the validators. They will receive a notification. They can vote yes or no to the proposal. And then actually the system should be setting the new base fee, for instance, when the Camino token increases. I mean, when we start, the Camino transaction will cost 1 cent at the start. But of course, if the Camino doubles, triples, and so on, then the cost increases. And it's very, very important in a low margin industry like the travel industry to be able to control the gas fee, right?
In addition, also our voting is based on 1 voice per organization, not on stake. I think that's a major difference. So that's also one of the points that we looked at, and we don't want to reflect the current conditions that we have in the travel industry. We want to offer equal participation for players, whether they are large or small, because that's enriching the blockchain in terms of offers.
Because the risk with proof of stake in general is that you get into a plutocratic situation, which the few people have a lot of money decide, and because of that, they make more money as a validator.
The richer get richer. Yeah, that's
the richer gets richer. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the risk with proof of stake.
That's one of the reasons why we also transition in a foundation. We are setting that up in Switzerland as well, like our headquarters of Chain4Travel, because we don't want that somebody with deep pockets could buy Chain4Travel. So the IP rights will go to the foundation, and then they are protected.
Okay, so that makes this layer 1 not let's say permissionless, but more like not neutral, because you don't accept, for instance, non-travel industry players and validators. So it's not neutral. Like while the other blockchains, the classic blockchains, are neutral. On Ethereum, you can build a travel app or a DeFi app or NFTs, etc. So whatever the market decides block space should be used for, the richest. So the market says, okay, the block space for Ethereum is NFTs because people are ready to pay a lot for NFTs.
Yeah.
In your case, there's some limitations, like only travel industry players, right? So it makes it is it correct to say an opinionated blockchain? That's the term I see going around. Like it has opinions on the players.
The blockchain itself doesn't have an opinion. It's just a technology that we use. However, I think it maybe another word would be tailored infrastructure to the travel industry. So I mean, maybe you could say it's biased towards the travel industry, because of course you have a community of travel players. But as you know, the travel industry is big enough to have that. It's a huge industry. I mean, 10% of the global GDP, trillion industry. So I think that there's enough potential for an industry blockchain, and I think that this other industries have that potential as well. We might see that as well in other industries like pharmaceutical industry, for example. And but I think that blockchain offers a lot of opportunities, especially for the travel industry, because we are working global. And we have small players in every country of this world, selling travel, working travel. And blockchain technology gives them the opportunity to participate on level playing grounds, so to speak, within that business. I think that's the fascinating feature of blockchain, that you can participate from every corner of the world, and you have easier settlement, you have easier payment, easier loyalty, easier distribution, and more transparency for the client.
Maybe rather than opinionated, which is true, is a piece of software, it doesn't have opinions, tailored or maybe curated.
Yeah.
So the validators curate the content. So what
customized technology?
Customized also.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens when somebody wants to deploy a non-travel industry smart contract?
I mean, yeah, non-travel industry. I mean, if you think travel industry, so it's not only airlines or hotels, it's also airports, it's duty-free shops. It could be souvenir shops that are participating. So actually, if there's somebody who wants to offer something on chain that would be a travel target audience, he could be participating in the chain. It's open to that, but it's a specific audience probably on that chain, right? So if somebody comes from
can you remind me, how do I deploy a contract? I first have to become, I don't have to be a validator, I have to be a partner, right?
That's well, actually, that the blockchain is open. I mean, it's open source. Okay. Everybody can build smart contracts or also the apps on top of that. The only thing where we curate / have some interest is in the validators to have some ties in the travel industry. Yep. And I mean, if somebody
the validators, not the part, not the
exactly. Not the app
so
developers.
If whoever, if a 13-year-old kid has a great idea and deploys something on the Camino blockchain and there's response and people are using it, well done. Right. We are not opposite.
What if there's response and people are using it, but you don't, but you so the validators judge that this is not travel related or no?
They don't interfere with the DApp development. They just vote on the distribution of the DApp incentive fund. So they can incentivize certain projects, but they would not be able to barrier a project, idea project from somewhere.
So they want, it's not like that they want, they can't. They don't have the tools to stop adapt.
Yeah.
Today not. I mean, we will need to think about if somebody deploys some harmful things on the blockchain, if we need some kind of entry point there. But at the time being, we are not thinking of that.
What if somebody deploys like a Uniswap? Because it's needed probably in a blockchain at the decentralized exchange, and somebody comes and deploy, a fork of Uniswap, and they're gonna call it Camino Swap, right? And they're actually hijacking your name, make it think that it is your DEX, but it's not. And maybe they even charge 1%, which goes to them. So they do something which you don't like. You said validators can't stop this. So how are you gonna mitigate these kind of problems? Since it's an open blockchain and you don't even need to be KYC to do that, right?
You wouldn't. You could also build bridges. So that's the same issue that any other blockchain has. So there we are equal and comparable to other blockchains, I would say.
But we will have a thriving community. So if there are any conflicts arising around this example, for example, then I think that Chain4Travel could play a role of mediation in the future. So that would be a possibility, mediation or moderation. But that's an issue in governance that you find in other blockchains as well.
Right. So but in other blockchains, it is permission. Like if you are a validator on Ethereum, and Ethereum or any other one, that any app can be built there. And you're ready for that. Now, are the validators coming from the travel industry ready to, be validators of a chain which is hosting something harmful? Let's say Tornado Cash. You probably heard what's happened, right, last week. Mm-hmm. And so let's say somebody deploys Tornado Cash on the Camino blockchain, and because these validators are KYB or KYC, they could be targeted by the legislators, right? And say, you are processing transactions of something illegal. How will they react? Will they, will you stop this Tornado Cash? But is there a way to stop it, basically, or to kind of isolate it, or not today?
Today, right now, on the testnet it isn't, but it's definitely a point we need to look at. And I mean, what's happening in the market overall, there's definitely more and more legislation examples coming in. I think blockchains are learning a lot how to behave and what kind of mechanism you need to have in place to avoid harmful behavior on blockchains. But that's I would say, a learning process. And I'm quite honest here, we are at the beginning, we are quite new, we just launched our testnet. And I think we will discuss this with our validator community once they are set up. But I mean, it's always about centralized power and decentralized power, right? That's
well, that's a bit the point. If today is really hard to go after you can go, I mean, but after the Ethereum miners and say you are allowing Ethereum to exist, hence you are allowing Tornado Cash to exist, hence you are helping North Korea, right? They can't go against they should shut down the whole Ethereum network, and this is hard to do. But shutting down a layer one, which is KYC, that's very easy. You just go after every validator, you send them a letter, shut down your validator, and the next day everything is closed. And even the person deploys the Tornado Cash or any other toxic app, it doesn't matter if it's that one, could do it in order to arm you. So our competitors, let's say somebody doesn't like Chain4 Camino blockchain, and they deploy Tornado Cash, and then they start sending money from Tornado Cash to every address in the chain. You probably need a way to stop that, because the blockchain itself is permissioned. Is KYB. So every validator is known, and they cannot hide from the legislator. So this is getting a problem in general in blockchains. And I suppose we're going to see two kinds of blockchains. I suppose we don't know the future. Ones which are neutral and they are as decentralized as possible, and you can't shut them down. And others who are explicitly compliant, say, we don't want to do anything illegal. We KYC, KYB everyone, and we don't allow illegal behavior on our blockchain. But I don't know how this works. I don't have a reference for that, how you can do that. Some blockchains allow to block transactions, but when you do that, you become responsible for the content. A bit like Facebook started being like, whatever, everything goes. And now they've been forced by governments to moderate their own content. And nobody wants to do that. Like it's too much work. So when you launch a blockchain which is curated, you are assuming all the responsibility for the content. And that's can really create a lot of problems. So it makes the whole project more risky for everybody, basically. What do you think about that?
I mean, on the one hand side, Chain4Travel is nobody's competitor, I would say, on the one hand side. So we don't believe that there will be harmful people targeting us from some kind of competitor. So contrary, we are actually in talks with many Web3 travel projects to bring them on Camino and to see the benefits of Camino, I would say. On the other hand, new technology has always driven some criminal activity. That's absolutely true. We will definitely need to discuss this, and I mean, we strive to be compliant with any law, and I mean, that's also why we want to have validators in place which are KYB processed to increase the trust of the network. Now, how to really ensure that nobody deploys a harmful contract, be it by accident or be it on purpose, that's definitely something we need to think about. And I mean, you saw it with Tornado Cash as a beautiful example. Somebody even started dropping Ethereum into wallets which were known. And suddenly those wallets got also targeted. Also, those wallets did nothing with Tornado Cash, but on the blockchain, you could see that transaction from Tornado Cash going to those specific wallets. So I think it will be on one hand side legislation and compliance needing to step up to the new technology and to the new possibilities that the technology comes, because with power also comes, how's the saying?
Responsibility.
Responsibility, exactly. And on the other hand, it's definitely also something we need to discuss internally, how and if we want to do that.
Okay, and the question is like, you know, the thing with compliance is that compliance means in general following the law of your jurisdiction, which is already hard. But then when you are distributed, so let's say you are a company with many branches, then you have to follow the laws of every single country. And in case of is it permission a good way, or you prefer KYC or KYB, like for your validators? How would you call it? Like KYC validators, like non-validators.
Yeah.
They're going to be in many countries. So let's say they are in 50 countries, as you mentioned, you're going to have 50 of them. Then you have to be compliant in 50 different jurisdictions. And this is countries. And then maybe some cities, like, you know, San Francisco is against Airbnb. Somebody launches an Airbnb on your chain, and you have to be compliant on that one too. So it gets really complex. In my opinion, being compliant is basically possible. What you can try to do is to, you know, it's always a tension between the innovation and the compliance. But by exposing all the validators, you know, by them being validators which want to be compliant, they need to be compliant being companies, it introduces a whole set of problems which are going to be dealt with, basically. So it introduces fragility in a way, in my opinion. And this is not to say that you're not going the right way. I'm not here to judge, but I'm here to kind of think about it. If the real way is to have industry dedicated layer ones, then there's a problem we need to solve. Absolutely, right?
Yes, and I mean, as you know, legislation is behind technical innovation right now. But the problem you are now mentioning, I don't see much difference to what's happening today in the real world already. I mean, the example of Airbnb is a beautiful one. I mean, I used to work for a former company where we also had vacation rentals in many cities. And suddenly that government of that city decided that you need to do X, or you need to pay taxes, or there's a change in taxing or presenting prices. So I think that's nothing new, but what our industry is already used to, this kind of international differences, I would say, that every country is different. I mean, every validator, it's an open choice of the validator themselves. They need to check to be compliant within their country. And what we actually want to enable is that the international transactions, which are anyway happening today, but maybe more on the Web2 areas or through old APIs and OR systems, just put them on the modern infrastructure. And the legal issues will remain the same. Maybe there come some other new legal issues. What I see worldwide is that most of the legislators now have taken up point of, hey, there is something we need to look at in more detail. You see it in Europe, you see it as well in the US. There's a lot of discussion ongoing right now in that space. And I'm optimistic that we will find solutions there. And at the end of the day, it will come with providing content, and the customer needs to be happy with it. And if that doesn't work, then the whole success is not there.
Okay. Another question I wanted to ask you, you mentioned the multi-chain, right? So let's say that an app launches first on Camino, and then they decide they want to be on, I don't know, Polygon or something else. This is something you encourage, accept, etc. How do you see the multi-chain approach in general?
From a technical standpoint, I think it's the same like we saw in the past with different inventory systems who didn't have APIs, and there were APIs from system A to system B to system C. So today what we see in the blockchain environment is that a lot of bridges are being built, right? So this interoperability of different blockchains, I think that will happen on the one hand side, and on the other hand side, I also think that a lot of chains will disappear in future. So there will be some kind of standardization within some networks. We are not asking for exclusivity. So if somebody wants to build an app on another blockchain, go ahead. We are also looking for partners who build bridges, definitely. We know that bridges are security-wise, depending how they are designed, could be a risk. It's an entry angle to the blockchain, so we saw many exploits in that, unfortunately. But also there, I think over time it will become more secure, more transparent, more trustful as well. So I think it will be interoperability. On our end, we mainly focus right now on bringing apps and partners to our blockchain. And we believe we have the best blockchain out there for travel industry. So I don't see a reason why now to go to another blockchain at the beginning.
Yeah. It's also posing an opportunity for us, right? To if a blockchain travel company is multi-chain, then they can easily build on Camino as well, and they will see that that's the best suited environment for them.
So basically, if they are, let's say, on Ethereum, and they say, okay, why don't you also launch on Camino?
Exactly.
And they just have to deploy the same smart contracts there. And
exactly.
So at the end, so basically you're open to multi-chain in either incoming and outgoing. So basically, I start on Camino and then I want to have, more kind of more markets, because every blockchain is a market in a way. I can do that. And vice versa, I'm already in other blockchains. I'm going to be invited in Camino because it's a specific blockchain where maybe I find more like a better environment for my travel company, etc., etc. Okay.
And we strive to be compatible. So with Avalanche on the one hand side, there we already have a connection, and also with EVM in general. So every EVM contract can, with small adaptation, run as well on our blockchain.
So that's a good point. There's two kind of compatibilities. It's EVM compatible and EVM equivalent, which means, for those who don't know, compatible is like I get my smart contract, I may do a few changes and then it works and it's not a big deal. Equivalent is basically it just works forever. So you are in this case compatible.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the market is more centered around the cryptocurrency than the blockchain, right? So if you would accept ETH or anything else, or Sol or ADA or whatever, we would, the app developer, he would have access to that community as well. So I think that's possible on Camino as well.
Okay. And another question I wanted to ask you is like open source. What is your approach to open source apps? Like it could be everybody has to be open source, or nobody can be open source, or whoever you choose. Basically, do you have any specific view on this?
I mean, our project itself is open source, right? And we also intend to push back some of the developments we made in Camino back to the Avalanche. Since we believe in open source, that's our main message, but it's up to the developer of the app itself if he wants to do it open source or not. We're just providing the infrastructure. We most probably will also provide a marketplace for the apps in the future, so that actually every participant can see in his wallets what kind of apps are out there, and that then connects the app provider with the person or the company who wants to use this app. We ourselves, we are not asking people to be open source if they don't want to.
So there could be a case in which one of the companies from the travel industry decides to build something new on Camino, and they decide to make it open source, and then somebody else could fork it and make the same or slightly different app. I suppose there's not going to be a problem because they decided to be open source. If that was a problem, they would have gone closed source, basically, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, the biggest problem we have in general, in my opinion, in crypto, in Web3, is wallet adoption. So people don't have wallets. And those who have, most of them have the same wallet. So first questions, is like MetaMask compatible? Yeah, did you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
So we have a non-custodial wallet. So it's the Camino wallet.
And MetaMask would be probably compatible, right?
Yes.
So if I have MetaMask and I want to operate on Camino, I can just change the settings like I do when I want to go on Polygon.
You can connect then to the Camino network and transfer funds.
So I don't need to use your own wallet, basically. That's just an alternative, right? Okay.
Yeah. So it would be of advantage though to use the Camino wallet, because it's again tailored to the traveler. So one of the goals of Camino is also to have all the activities, the tickets, etc., reservations in one place. So it would be of advantage to have the Camino wallet. And I think that a lot of B2B partners would want to work with the Camino wallet rather than anything else, because that's more consolidated way of working with it.
Do you mean something like, for instance, if I'm on MetaMask on my browser and I have an NFT, I cannot even see it because MetaMask doesn't show NFTs. Maybe MetaMask mobile does it, etc. So the Camino wallet would show me the NFT for the booking, or it's kind of more tailored. I see.
Yeah.
And how is this wallet? Is this like something like MetaMask or something? How would you explain this wallet?
It looks like a normal wallet, right?
Is a plugin in the browser, or is an app, or both?
It's a plugin. It's a browser-based app right now, and you can actually check it out on wallet.camino.com.
Yeah,
it's the easiest way that you can log in, you can create there, you can connect, and
I can do this already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You can have your wallet on a testnet.
Okay.
And we plan to add more features to that. The interesting question you asked at the beginning is how to drive wallet adoption, right? Because right now there's 120 million users who have an active wallet. That's compared to the global population, not enough yet. There are some demographic also different countries who are way ahead than Europe, for instance. But what we are seeing is actually that these wallets will drive, or wallet adoption will be driven by different angles. So on the one hand side, the strategy we are having at Chain4Travel is actually to work with companies which basically behind their today's Web2 environment, most of them have a login and stuff like that, start creating wallets or smart contract addresses, right? Where you can then transfer the funds to your own wallet if you have one, or where we actually can then provide the wallet. So the B2B adoption, where we think more use cases will be done on the B2B, will drive the wallet in the travel industry. And travel industry has a huge reach, so there will be a massive amount of wallets being created in the travel industry. That's the first one. Then the second one we are seeing is definitely the whole interest in blockchain. So I believe that over the next few years, we will see this number of 100 million grow exponentially. So 100 million, 200 million, 400 million, and so on. In a few years' time, most of for the travel industry specific interested customers will have a wallet driven by travel industry, but also general wallet adoption. If you look at the young people, most of the young people already have wallets because they're used from social gaming, because they're interested in crypto and so on. The third one, which is also something which is interesting, that a lot of big brands like Starbucks, Netflix, we have the luxury brands, we have the social media brands like Metas start playing around with NFTs, social interaction, and also with wallet at the end of the day. So we believe that blockchain technology will see in the next few years a huge adoption, and also that wallets will be wider spread.
And I would like to add that we also have use cases already on the testnet running that don't require a wallet. So the end consumer would have a QR code to work with, and he doesn't need to have a wallet. So there's a solution, for use cases where you give out, for example, NFT voucher, and would represent a QR code that's read by an application by the partner. And so yes, we need wallet adoption in the future, of course, and the B2B approach will help us there. But for the moment, we have also use cases where we work with NFT voucher per QR code.
So by having this QR code only myself, I kind of prove the ownership. Yeah. So I don't need to save a seed phrase. I just have to be careful about this QR code.
That's for certain single use cases. Yes, when you have like a voucher for a massage or a free drink on board, for example, and then you can easily set that up, a campaign, a marketing campaign. That's instant settlement between the partners.
Yeah, certainly in the travel industry, when many services are done in person, if I get, let's say, a massage QR code, they can still check my name. So even if somebody steals it from me and they go there, they're going to be refused because say you're not that person, right? So it actually, being the services done in person, it allows for more less trust is required on the application layer, because you're going to go there and show your face and give your passport, right? So why would you need to go with your wallet with a seed phrase and prove that you have the seed phrase? I got the QR code. It's me. You have my passport. Give me the room. So that's certainly going to be interesting in the future.
I think that's it's not black and white, right? We don't move from, like the often online world was, it's like, digital, right? You go online or you're offline. And then here we have a different environment. We have an evolution of the internet, right? So we will have a hybrid solution with tools that we have at hand. Blockchain is one tool. And we will have AI, and that will be working hand in hand with blockchain. So we have Web2, right? So we will have hybrid solutions. And as we progress into Web3, we will increasingly using blockchain.
And it will also become increasingly user-friendly, because today's approach of Web3, that is also one of the reasons why mass adoption is not yet reached, in my personal opinion, is that it's still for many users too complicated to set up a MetaMask, so to connect to OpenSea, to buy something with fiat, swapping it to cryptocurrency, importing your NFTs and so on. So it's still quite cumbersome. But that's why actually I think that Anke's approach, and the approach that many of our heuristic partners want to drive in future, that the customer does not even know, and he does not even need to know what kind of base technology is behind that. It just needs to be user-friendly and work.
Yeah, I mean, I came to the conclusion, I don't know if we talked this about last time, but basically seed phrase-based wallets are not for everyone. So we need different solutions, and every solution has a trust assumption. Of course, if I have to send you some money online, there should be zero trust required, and I need my seed phrase, etc., etc. But again, if the use case is more in person, it allows us to have less heavy ways to prove that I have a right to this specific service, because I already went through maybe KYC, or maybe because I'm there physically. So that's certainly going to be interesting. I certainly changed my mind on the fact that everybody will have a wallet, and like my whole Airbnb account is going to be connected to my MetaMask, and then my listings and my reviews, everything with the one failure point, which is my seed phrase, and 10 years later I lose everything. And then I'm going to dream about the platforming of Airbnb, because it was like very random and not so common. So yeah, we in the travel industry, we certainly are going to be able to be more creative than in the DeFi industry, for instance, because not everything happens online. So it's going to be certainly interesting. Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have a dedicated blockchain, a layer one, for the travel industry.
Why, you mean in this case, in this context?
Because we, as you said, I mean, we are different. We can do things. We are more personal. We can combine things differently than in DeFi. So that's what I meant.
One aspect which I wouldn't want to be in your shoes is trying to attract people to the blockchain. People are outside of the blockchain and say, look, Web3 is the future, come in, and then you explain them how to do that. And then they put themselves in a situation in which they can lose everything. It's different than having people already onboarded on Web3. They already did the whole, they learned, they lost the money, they lost the seed, and they say, okay, I'm going to use your system. But this is something I stopped doing, actually. It's like attracting people into this space, because it's still too dangerous. So from your point of view, if you can give some extra guarantees that if everything goes bad, there's still a backup in a way. But you can't do this with a wallet anyway, right? So if I come in with a Camino wallet and I lose my seed phrase, you don't have it, hopefully, in your database, right?
No, it's a non-custodial wallet. So really, it's as you said, today's wallet are that was the main idea of Web3 initially. Maybe it will change over time. It's absolutely in the user's custody and user's power, and he has the responsibility to it.
But by acting as somebody attracting, you're probably going to have to kind of explain the risks, right?
Yes.
But there will be custodians, right? You have custodians today as well, right?
Yeah. So maybe the travel industry, there's going to be extremely custodian, extremely decentralized. But because you put yourself in a situation, like you say, okay, come to Camino, and that's how it works. When you explain them, we've done this a million times. Careful, you're going to lose your seed phrase. Write it down on a piece of paper. Be careful. And the next thing they do, they leave it on the desk. And that's why I stopped inviting people to Web3. Say, if you come by yourself, then we're here and we can do things together. So it's going to be a challenge for you to try not to, when you invite people, to make it very clear that they are taking a risk, or they should go to the custodian way, right? So maybe most Camino users are going to be offered some custodial service, less power, less sovereign, but at least they're not going to lose everything. So that's going to be certainly something in general in the travel industry, not only in the Camino project.
Part of our day-to-day work we are doing when we are talking to partners and reaching out and discussing use cases with them is actually education as well. So we are explaining them
education is such a
and
huge
the pitfalls. And we have to face it. It's a new topic for the travel industry.
Right.
There are a few players around which you can count on two hands, which have been trying to build things in the Web3 space, which are sometimes now struggling as well with mass adoption. And we have there a little bit different approach, but a lot of our time goes into education, definitely.
And
it's progressing now, right? It's as we discussed before. Technology is changing, legal requirements are changing as well. So you need to keep up with what's happening out there and try to be one step ahead.
The most frustrating part about the education, which I've done myself, is you teach, and then unless they have a daily use case, they forget. So you teach them, they get the wallet. Oh, nice, I understand it now. A month later, because they haven't used it, they completely forgot. And then you have to start over. That's why I went like, okay, if somebody is already educated, we can talk, but I'm not going to myself. But this is myself, like, it's not saying you shouldn't do that. Actually, it's good that somebody takes this burden and educates the industry. My decision has been like, come when you're ready, because I'm not going to be there to teach you every month the same thing. And then when you lose the money, is my fault, right? So I'm out of that, but somebody has to do it. So, congratulations for that. And I hope that, I think this can be sustainable only if there are use cases which people get in, they learn to bike, and they bike tomorrow and they bike after tomorrow. Not like they learn to bike and 5 years later, oh, I forgot how to bike, right? And I lost my bike and I fell down. So it's good that that's why I'm happy there's new project. I'm happy that Camino is in, because you are going to do also this very important part of educating the industry, which badly needs it. And then we'll see how it goes. Again, I think it's still a generational thing. Some people can't be saved, like they can't be taught. They want things to work as they've always worked. And they see the opportunity, but they're not probably ready to do the switch. So it's going to be very interesting to see how
like if you go back to the last big innovation waves, IBM stating that there is no market for personal computers, big tech companies stating that internet has no future because nobody will use internet at home. So brings me a little bit back to the discussion we had last time, where you asked, is the timing right? The timing is in that area, I think, right, because it will take time to educate people. People need to have the possibility to ride a bike, then switch to a motorcycle, from the motorcycle then to the truck and to the airplane. So it will be a staggered approach as well. Most companies will not do a full buy-in and take the financial risk to do every transaction on the network. So it will be a learning as well. And it will be risk mitigation on both ends, I would say.
Yeah, I agree that the timing is right. For education, the timing is always right. Because if somebody gets educated in Web3 and then they stay in Web3, the upside, the opportunities are enormous. It may be not the good time to have working applications because of the adoption problem. But in terms of starting to educate the industry, it was a good time 5 years ago, because somebody learns and somebody gets ahead with that, right? So in that sense, yes.
If I may, can also skip in on the application side. I mean, it really depends on the use cases, right? A lot of our partners are looking now for internal B2B use cases where people are more open to work on new technology. B2C side, yes, we count on that. Actually, we start with the B2B area, educate the B2B users, create value for the B2B companies, and then through the B2B actually drive mass adoption and also use cases in the B2C area. So that's a little bit
check my interview with Winding Tree about this subject, because Winding Tree has started with the B2B, which seemed maybe I'm kind of interpreting this a few weeks later, I don't remember exactly, but B2B seems easier because you're talking to professionals until you realize these professionals have no clue, and the customer is actually much more nimble and fast in learning, right? So you go to a big company and you teach them, and there's so many people who have to learn, and to make it actually work, the whole training becomes very big compared to just B2C, where there are already customers who have learned, right? So B2B, in my opinion, doesn't mean easier. It means just different. Of course, if you manage to onboard a company, that's a big thing rather than onboarding one person, right? So it's definitely something which needs to be done too. But
I think that the difference today is that you find those Web3 affine people in the companies as well.
Yes,
doing projects, thinking about it, doing strategy. So it's a whole different situation than 2017.
Yeah, you have people inside any company who are onboarded already, and they are your champions for this.
So
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the people that from the Web3 community who are on Discord at night looking for NFTs, those are also in companies and driving this forward. So
that's your anchor inside these organizations. I agree. This has changed a lot. So that's very positive, in my opinion.
I mean, I can share a personal history I had with Winding Tree as well. 2017, I invited them over to my company. I was in charge of at that point in time for the IT department. And I had an interview with them, and I didn't understand what they were building because I was not ready for it. And that's exactly what Danke is saying. So market has developed, people have heard more about Web3, there's more interest around there. And I think, as we said, the past few years also have shown that the efficient systems we are using today, and people are looking for a new modern way of working together. And as we several times already said, we try to separate the discussion about crypto and infrastructure. So we look at the blockchain technology as a new way of connecting travel businesses and at the end travel customers to the businesses themselves.
Okay. I've asked all my questions. I think it was very informative, and maybe you want to add something before we close.
Only to express our thank you. Actually,
thank you for having us, and we are looking forward to continue the discussion. Whenever you have questions, Luca, please come, because I think it's interesting for the whole community to discuss this.
Okay, thank you so much for all your time.
Exactly. Just to add on that one, thank you once again for the good analysis you made on our light paper. So there's a new version out there, and we are looking forward to get more questions and inputs from your side.
So there's a new light paper after the one I analyzed?
Updated.
Okay. Yeah. I'll check it out. I don't know if I'm going to do episodes because people are already going to ask, this is sponsored behind the scenes or something. I openly say I haven't been sponsored by you in any way. Actually, I hope that I've been, and I also been enough open and also adversarial in this.
Yes, absolutely.
I haven't bought the token because the token is not there. I haven't. I should. I haven't been whitelisted, so I haven't done anything financially with you. Oh, actually, for full disclosure, I am an investor in Winding Tree, so I participated in the ICO, and I'm an investor. Yeah, you too.
At the time,
okay. And also, I'm an investor in the Locktrip project because I also participated in the ICO. So I also have some stake in their new chain, Hydra chain. Actually, that's interesting. The Hydra chain started from Locktrip, and because they needed their own blockchain. But I checked the other day, and they are not travel related only. They are open to more. I think they have
that's the difference.
They have some agreement with Webjet or something, which is a big company in Australia, but they are not specifically in travel. Which I thought they were, but probably they wanted to expand, or maybe it wasn't that easy to attract the travel industry. So that's a differentiator with what you're doing. You are only travel industry related.
Exactly.
Okay. Basically, welcome to the space, even if you were here a long time before, but welcome as a project. I think it's great because it's been very lonely in the travel industry for many years in Web3. And let's see how it goes.
Yes.
Good luck with
Thank
everything.
You. Thank
you
you
so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. This is the end of today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. For more insights on Web3, follow me on Twitter @tripluca, TRIPLUCA, and see you next time.